Oxygen not included, or as I like to call it, good game design not included. Hi, welcome back to the shit show. There's no modded character review this time. I guess you can say this is the beginning of season 2, where I turned this into a general video game review series. I hear you asking, will Don't Starve mod character still be in this series? Let me answer your question with another question. Will Catburger like Don't Starve again? I'll leave it at that. Also, there's no guarantee whether I will continue to review games, however the idea is exciting. I'm pretty passionate with my views about this game and I want to share them, so I don't know if this is going to carry on into a general review series. I really just wanted to make this video. Also, that intro bit was just to get people's attention to keep watching. This is an actual critique, not a hate video. If you're a fan of Oxygen Not Included, this isn't me telling you to stop playing or somehow jumping through your computer and uninstalling it for you. While I do think there are some glaring objective flaws, I'm sure some of this critique will be subjective as I write it, so maybe take it with a grain of salt, maybe don't if you're a fan anyway. But if you are thinking about getting Oni, if you don't have it yet, I do advise you actually do take this video as a warning, because I do believe pretty confidently that some of the things I say here are pretty objective. Anyways, let's find out if Oxygen Not Included is shit or the shit. This review is purely what I think of the game, and I will not be offering a summary of what the game is actually like. If you would like to know what the game is actually like, please check out the YouTubers I cite because they have fantastic gameplay to show off what the game is actually like. Also, as a disclaimer, I have 115 hours on this game, and I did enjoy it for the time I had it. However, I feel like I need to point out glaring flaws. Thank you. There's really nothing else really like Oxygen Not Included. Its focus on the elements and matter makes you feel like a genius just by doing basic strategies. Some of the mechanics are really fun and satisfying to pull off. The art style is new and fresh. The animations are fun and, well, the whole game's feel is fun. The characters are lively. The devs went through the effort of giving each dupe a funny little bio that, in the end, is actually completely unimportant, yet really gives a lot of life to the game. To tell you their emotions, the walk certain ways makes exaggerated faces, the whole lot. The critters you find are just hilarious and the environment's very nice to look at. This is a strong point of the game. You can tell it was made by developers who care, which sadly is not something you can say about a lot of games today.
Go crazy! Ah, go stupid! Ah!
The absolute number one glaring problem with Oxygen Not Included is its complexity and difficulty. Don't get me wrong, video games are totally allowed to be complex and difficult. You have a lot of examples today where a lot of games seem to be going for the more difficult route. It's what makes a lot of them fun. Really good example is Clay's Don't Starve. You ever heard of that? Its success is based on those epically funny YouTube videos of a new player dying the first night and screaming at the top of their lungs about how funny it is. For actual players of the game, the challenge and depth of Don't Starve is what keeps people hooked until they reach a godlike status. Even then, simple accidents can mess them up and kill them. Speaking of killing, you learn by dying in Don't Starve, which is a completely valid way of teaching. But for Oxygen Not Included, instead of a learning curve, it's more like a learning rock climbing wall, where without knowing prior, one of the footholds just falls off because you didn't apply glue earlier even though you didn't know you needed to. To put it simply, Oxygen Not Included teaches you by screwing you up not instantly, but in advance for not doing something. Examples include running out of space, slow buildup of stress, relying on algae deoxidizers and not knowing when you'll run out of algae, running out of space, your power lines overloading because you didn't know that was even a mechanic, generators slowly pouring heat into your colony, and also running out of space. In short, there's just a lot of things a new player will fail because instead of instantly or shortly getting reprimanded for, they get reprimanded slowly but surely, like being shot in the leg and being left to bleed out. So by cycle 32, they have to restart all of the progress they made or dangerously and desperately fix the issue. The game is too complex and too difficult, especially for a new player. A seasoned player can even fall victim to these mechanics if they get one simple thing. Because of that, it doesn't feel fair or challenging, it just feels rude. And also, there's just things in this game that have too much depth when they really shouldn't. That brings me to the next point.
Why is Chubby here staring at me?
Focusing.
So, Oxygen Not Included has an issue with complexity. That's mainly because of its loss of focus. The unnecessary depth of some mechanics, like needing to plunge the outhouses that take way too long to plunge, and many other mechanics, are sure to cause complexity issues, but it wouldn't be so bad if Oxygen Not Included was just focused. I never really saw the need to implement transformers or better wires or circuit overloads. Seems like a totally unnecessary mechanic to just add more problems to rush to deal with before they catch up to you. Power in general is okay because it offers you something to spend resources on and have upkeep, but the depth of power is where it gets bad, in my opinion. There's plenty of unnecessary areas of depth in the game. Any good piece of art has depth with simplicity or limited complexity, but Oxygen Not Included has depth with extreme complexity, and that's what causes stress not just in your dupes, but also you. Oxygen Not Included feels like the devs had so many ideas, and instead of just picking out the best ones, they just threw them all in there. At this stage of development, you can't just remove these deep mechanics. You also have no room for DLC that adds even more content. I don't know if Clay has plans for DLC, but they shouldn't. Before I get into this section, I know it sounds immature, but hopefully the way I expand on it is more convincing and sophisticated. As Oxygen Not Included developed, I found more borrowed mechanics from a very similar game, RimWorld, that I play a lot. In fact, Oxygen Not Included seems like it took most of its inspiration from RimWorld, and it's easy to see why. The gameplay is fundamentally the same, and Oxygen Not Included even took some of RimWorld's good aspects in hope of these aspects bettering Oxygen Not Included. And I do condone this with video games. It's not like we can internally have new ideas to implement, and as long as you improve on the previous iteration, who cares if you borrow some ideas? But Oxygen Not Included doesn't improve. It makes mechanics worse. One obvious idea is the schedule. I mean, this is almost a direct copy of it. However, let's look at the differences. RimWorld scheduling has anything, work, recreation, and sleep. During anything, colonists still aim to get work done while also paying attention to the recreational, hygienic, and vital needs. Work makes a colonist focus solely on work. Recreation lets a colonist focus on relaxing and doing fun activities. And finally, sleep is sleep. The good thing about RimWorld's schedule is the anything part, where colonists will work and take care of other problems. Oxygen Not Included tries. Oni's schedule is downtime, work, bath time, and bedtime. It should be self-explanatory, but basically it lacks in anything scheduling. They either work or take care of their vitals, but since you want them to work most of the day, their entire downtime is spent going to the bathroom and eating, and only occasionally getting the essential recreation. So Oxygen Not Included took an idea from RimWorld and didn't improve it, but actually made it worse. They do borrow other ideas from RimWorld in general, even building a ship. Although in RimWorld, building a ship acts as beating the game, and in Oxygen Not Included, it just access to new resources. Personally, I think Oni would be better off with a way to beat the game. Scheduling is the worst example of Oni borrowing ideas and failing to improve. I think Oni should just try to do its own thing if they obviously have trouble improving on RimWorld's ideas. Oni has plenty more flaws than I named, namely the stress it induces on the player. It needs focus. It needs to reduce the depth. So, what's the verdict? Is Oni shit or the shit? Shit. What a surprise. On a shit scale, I'll give this like a 3 out of 5, if a shit scale is something I'm doing now. It has potential and obviously has good things going for it if I played it for as long as I did. But deep down, it's flawed. I hope you learned something. I hope Clay learned something. And most of all, I hope you don't all hate me now. Bye-bye. Hey, before you go, do you really want to buy Oxygen Not Included? Are you not sure? The best way to know is to watch gameplay, and you should watch the gameplay of the people I've featured. So go to their channels and check it out if you're really thinking about buying it. NOW!